Good afternoon, coders. I just want to make a very quick video about the game creators closing their forums. Now, this came out a few weeks ago, and initially I thought it was more about the account system, and then I realized it was actually going to encapsulate the forum itself. There's been clarification about this since, but I think they're going to keep them archived in some fashion. Anyway, we're talking about a forum that's been online for probably, I look, 25 years is probably about the length of time it's been up in one form or another. So it's a big repository of information about coding, information about modeling, etc., doing different things in terms of game development in general. A lot of that information is geared towards the older products like Dark Basic Professional and Dark Basic and FPS Creator and these things, which the game creators no longer actually really support. These days, I think it's just Game Guru and App Game Kit Studio. It is by the looks of that. Okay, so down here they're saying this also means the old TGC forums will no longer be active after this date. And as there are still few people who use them, we would like to encourage you to move to Discord channel. Right. They're asking people to move to a Discord channel of products they still actively support. Here's the problem. And I'll show you. Go to community, TGC forum, and you wait. I suspect that this has started happening to people, not just here, not just a few weeks ago after the announcement. Actually, after the announcement, the board basically was unreachable. Almost straight away. A few days later, it just disappeared off the internet. But what I actually suspect is that this has been happening probably for the last 10 years, because it was constantly really slow to access, to get to. And that would change people's behaviours. They would just go, well, I can't be bothered. Or it's down, they'll go somewhere else to do something else, you know. And we're going to time out. Sometimes you get through, sometimes you don't. We'll see how we go this time. Bum bum bum. Dum 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 dum. Bum 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 bum. Just have a drink. Yeah. Nice coffee. And yeah. Now, this is not a new thing. This is a quite an old thing. I think once they shifted the boards to Cloudflare, this started to happen. Around the same time, if you look through the traffic of the site, the post rates of the old boards, you notice something that correlates together. The amount of posts started to drop, and then obviously over that time, people were getting more and more frustrated. And I've heard this from many people. I spoke to the guy who wrote this forum software for TGC back in the day, Richard Davey, and he couldn't access the boards. He wanted to just post a farewell message like most people wanted to do, but they can't. I did notice that if you go to certain boards, you can generally get through. Yes, there we go. I've been posting on the Game Creators forums now for probably the entire time they've been up. Less so in recent years because of this timeout problem. Maybe they didn't know this was a problem. But when you go back through the older threads, it's too slow at the moment to bother doing this, but there's 800 pages of Dark Basic Professional conversations. and that's 50 threads per page, and each thread has a lot of posts. Not all of them are gold, but a lot of them have information about that's generalized enough that it can be related back to AppGameKit, or it can be related to whatever you want. The syntax is different of the examples, but if you're asking a generalized question about how do you do pathfinding, or how do you load a certain kind of media, or how do you do this or that, or a lot of it's transferable, maybe not one-to-one, but very close. A lot of people have conversations about how to make certain kinds of games, etc., kind of applications. That's all very transferable. But it's a huge board, fair enough, and I posted more. Most of that would be in the first probably 10 years of the board, and ever since then it's been less, but still posting. If I write up the board today and there was a question on here that I knew the answer to or had something to contribute about, I just post a response. The other issue that people were having, that I certainly had, I'm not sure everyone had this problem, is that if you did go to try and post something or edit a message or whatever, you get this timeout process would happen all the time. So the board went from being a pleasure to being a kind of frustration for people. I think that's really just to do with the size and maybe how the servers are running behind the scenes. Not too sure about that one, but anyway, I think that would have had been a big contributor to the usage of the boards and people's disinterest in the boards over a longer period of time. Board 59 is the AppGameKit Studio, and that one's responding now, so that's good. And there are people still posting on the boards as if they don't really know. There wasn't a huge amount of activity in these boards. I guess what they're trying to do is they're trying to redirect all of those people into one place, which is fair enough, I guess. Anyway, that's the state of the boards. I think in a few days' time, they'll be pulling it down. Until then, we'll keep reminiscing and picking through the old threads. So many people and conversations I'd forgotten about, and even just projects. People were making crazy things back in the day. It was a fun time. And I think the best part of that too is when you saw other people making stuff, it encouraged you to make things. And that cycle continued, The one thing you notice about the modern support level for the forum is that's declined over the years. You could compare the AppGameKit support to the Dark Basic Professional stuff, but I think it's just two different times. The time when DB Pro was built, the time that AppGameKit is built today. In that decade, so many tools where it came out and in that same space. So people have a spoiled for choice these days. The one difference that you noticed about that is that it wasn't as much of this people trying, experimenting, posting, and then that revisionist thing would come up where someone would post what they were doing and someone would go, hey, what about this idea here? And they would add that, or maybe they wouldn't add that, or whatever. But it would evolve. Each concept would build on its own, primitive foundations into something more elaborate towards the end. And those threads are gold. Those conversations, so much information about how games are programmed in these kind of languages, it's just gold. So hopefully they archive it. Hopefully they have it in a way that's easily searchable, can it be more easily navigated in the future. The attachments, that's a big problem. There's lots of file attachments here. I think what they could have done, what I started to write even myself the other day, was it's kind of a localized viewer where you can do, because the searching on the boards is kind of, it's pretty basic. You can do a search by thread title, but you couldn't do a search by the post count of a certain thread to weight things out. So you could find certain keywords fine, but if you're looking for a particular thing by a particular author, let's say, or within within a year, a time frame, it was very hard to find them. You pretty much had to trawl through the results. And unfortunately, a lot of good information is hidden away because the searching only is on a surface level. It only does thread title. So if what you're looking for is not mentioned in the thread title and you couldn't find it, you had to go to Google to try and track down potential places to find this stuff. So finding your own posts on this board is actually quite difficult. You could find the threads you started because they attributed to the author over here, but you couldn't really find any responses that you had inside a thread someone else started. Got memories of posting tutorials for people and all kinds of stuff, and I found a lot of that. I found a bunch of those posts as I've sort of picked through recently, but a lot of it will just get lost. I think what they should have done is they should have, rather than close down here, they could have said, well, we're going to switch the boards to a read-only state, and then we're going to build an archive of the best material from the forums, and we'll do that and we'll let people pick and choose if they want to be involved in the archive, and we'll anonymize their posts or their data or whatever they want. So maybe some people wouldn't want their attachments included in an archive. Maybe some people wouldn't want their pictures or whatever included. But that's a big job. It'd be nice if they did that, but I suspect they won't. Anyway, this is the last few days of the Game Creators Forum. So the end of another era in BASIC gets another nail in its coffin, pretty much. But oh well. We'll see you next time. Bye.